Well, hello, everyone. Good evening. Here for another live chat, so I wanted to hop in here with you guys. If you can click the like button on your way in, I would really appreciate it. How is everyone doing today? Oh, Galen, first one to say hello. How are you? You having a good night? I can't remember where you live, Galen. What's the weather like? It was so nice. It was in the 80s today. It's thunderstorming now, though. Well, hello, Melinda. Welcome. Grant, hello. Galen, I'm glad you're doing well. Let's see here. I'm going with low light tonight, guys. I've got a headache, so sorry if the lighting's a little weird, but thought it would be better for my headache so I would last a little bit longer if we had stuff to talk about. Hi, Cassandra. How are you? You're having a storm as well, Galen. Where are you? Because, yeah, we have some thunderstorms rolling in ourselves right now. Oh, Utah. So is it like a thunderstorm? Because I know it's not snowing out there anymore, is it? How are you, Grant? Cassandra, what is going on? Melinda, are you looking forward to the cocoons? Harold's Random Videos. Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing well. How about yourself? Welcome if you're new. I don't know if I've seen you in here before. Drop me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Oh, what are you eating, Grant? Are you on break? Are you at work? I'm doing well. Thank you, Harold. Melinda says her grandson wants to name all of the worms that are going to come out of the cocoons. That would be interesting. See if you could keep track. It'd be a lot of counting. I actually just made a small cocoon bin for my acupuncturist and her kids to work on counting, helping them count. At work, you're eating a double cheeseburger and fries, Grant. Oh, that sounds good. Pizza Man, how are you? Welcome. Oh, you're right, Harold. I have. Never mind. Galen says, I found an albino wiggler. I've heard a few people lately say that they found like completely pale white looking worms, but they weren't pot worms, like they were full-size worms. That's interesting. I've never experienced that myself. I've had that half and half African nightcrawler, European nightcrawler looking thing. It was like pinkish on one side the way a European would be, but it was an African nightcrawler. It was the dark purple at the top. Very strange. So I have been, you said pinkish. Interesting. You need to snap some pictures and share them around for us to see. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, I've been awake for a long time today. For me, I've been up quite a while and getting ready for the first major cocoon harvest tomorrow. So that should be interesting. Hoping that the weather holds up because we are also getting some storms here. So I'd like for it not to be too, rainy and gross because we want to go outside to do that. Greystone Gardens. Hello, how are you? Minivan Mike, hello. Drop me a thumbs up. Let me know if any of you guys who aren't in here frequently, do you compost? What types of worms do you raise? What systems do you have? Galen, absolutely. Send the pictures to my Instagram. I'd love to share them around. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but there's a lot of really cool Facebook groups as well devoted to worms that would probably really find that very interesting. Grant, have you ever seen an albino worm? Oh, wait. Grant says he has a few worms. Are you talking about albino worms, or are you just making a joke? Six Grigsby, hello. Florida, how is it down in Florida? Oh, Greystone, you're wondering about pickles. Pickles would be fine. Small amount. I wouldn't go pouring the entire thing of juice in there, but pickles would be totally fine. Worms, can handle pretty much anything if it starts to decompose. The issue with some of the fermented foods like pickles is the acidity factor, that vinegary nature to them. So if you mix them in with other food or just put them in a corner and wait till the worms are ready to move in, use plenty of buffer, it should be totally fine. Let's see. Galen says she has too many worms, can't find anyone near me who's interested. Well, they're only going to reproduce to suit the environment and the amount of food that you're giving them, so I'm sure they're doing just fine. Lilia, hello, welcome. I loved your video showing your little dog sanctuary that you guys run. That's fantastic. When you said that each of the little bungalows had its own air conditioning and heating, I was just blown away. You're doing some amazing things, not only for this community, but obviously for some of these shelter pets that would otherwise be put down. So thank you for doing that, and thanks for sharing with us. Hello, Jeremy. Hello, Jen Allen. Jen Allen says she has 1 bin of euros, and she's in Florida, and it's hot. Melinda saying hi to Lilia. Cassandra saying hello. Galen saying where she's from. They're all sharing where they're from. Penny, I don't know if I'm going to say this right. I can't even read it. I'm just going to call you Penny because I don't think I'm going to get it right. Penny, how are you? Welcome. Melinda, a lot of you guys are from Florida, it looks like. Lilia, how many dogs do you have right now in that little sanctuary you have for them? Pizza Man says, I have a question about worm chow. I bought some Missouri earthworm diet. Anyone have info on this stuff? I've never even heard of that. There's a lot of different combinations of worm chows that people use, be them homemade or like the store-bought. Purina used to make a worm chow. But, kind of my go-to answer is it's worth a try. Just try small amounts and take it from there. You can always increase, feed more later. Greystone says, I got my brother-in-law to start a bin. Oh, what type of bin? How did you convince him? I need to work on some of my relatives also. How do you say your name? Is it H? How can I harvest the compost? So when your bins when you feel like they're ready to be harvested, I usually gauge that based on it just looking mostly composted. There's very little food or bedding scraps left. You can push all of that compost up to one side of the bin and then just feed the other side and let all the worms migrate over. Lilia, who's in this channel right now, her link is below. She does a great a job with they call it the horizontal migration method to kind of get the worms to move out of the compost so you can harvest it. I also choose to sift mine. I use like a metal mesh basket that you can get on Amazon or really at any I would even think like Office Depot supply stores like that sell things to hold your pens and pencils and stuff. And I use one of those and just shake the compost through that, and that kind of gives it the nice flaky consistency that I like. Let me see. Lilia says she has 5 dogs. Well, they are very, very lucky dogs. I was really blown away. I'm glad that everything survived with the fires and it wasn't worse for you guys, especially now, more knowing how much you guys have in it out there. That would have been absolutely devastating. I'm glad you guys were safe. It's a Purina company, Pizza Man says. Yeah, the worm chows, honestly, you can't really, I don't think there's such thing as like a bad worm chow. I personally don't choose to make worm chows very often. I don't really feel that I have a need for it, but it's just usually high grain diet. Tends to fatten your worms up, and it's a good substitute or kind of stand in for food if you don't have scraps that week. So you just do with what you have, or if you want to and you buy something, that's great too. Yeah, Jeremy says make it yourself. So I don't make a worm chow per se, but with the new breeding that I'm doing with the cocoon bins, I've been feeding a lot of dry food to try to keep the bins at a good moisture level, and I've just been grinding really cheap, large bulk bags of oats and then some cornmeal, and that's all I'm using. But if you don't need it, I don't even know if you need to make it. For me, it's a matter of I don't have enough scraps anymore. Let's see. Greystone says I just bought him about 100 reds and some bedding. Well, that's awesome. I mean, more and more people, the more people that start, the more people that get hooked. Like I was just saying, I made a little cocoon bin for my acupuncturist to help her daughter learn to count in kind of a fun way. So she can count cocoons, she can count the wisps. And I did it in just one of those little like sandwich Tupperware boxes that you take in your lunchbox to work. So, very, very small bin. I only put, I think, 15 cocoons in it for them to play around with. But one of their friends also overheard us speaking on a few occasions about it, and I ended up hooking him up with some worms last night as well. So once people try it and once they hear more and more about it, then they want to give it a shot themselves. And then most people, at least in my experience, seem to be hooked after they do it. So why not? But that's fantastic, Greystone. Keep starting new family members one at a time. You'll get them all going soon. Galen says, I got a 13-year-old family friend started. He said all was going good. It's been a couple of months now. And that's fantastic. That's great. Yeah, I have a good friend that I help. She got a urban worm bag from me, and I went up to her house and we set it up together, and hers is still running well. And that's been, I want to say it was before Christmas that I did that. And I've set up a few bins for some local people as well. And I actually have something very large scale possibly coming down the pike, which I'll share with you guys a little bit about that later. I bought one of those mesh sorting trays from Amazon for the fine sifting, says Galen. Yeah, I love mine. I use it all the time. I use it if I want to sift out bedding. I use it if I want to separate worms from the compost. It does a pretty good job. As long as your compost is not too wet, it'll screen through those really, really well. Let's see. Once you start with the worms, you can't drop it. Exactly. It's a hobby that sticks. Even some of my friends who just give me scraps. My friend was bulk, collecting scraps for me, and since we weren't working on the same schedules anymore, she was working less frequently at the hospital. She used to always bring me a bag or two every Friday night when we'd come into work. And since now we're seeing each other maybe once a month instead of once a week, she's bringing me 6-7 bags at a time. Well, I guess she was storing some of those scraps in her father's freezer, and now her dad is supplying me with bags and bags of scraps as well. So even if you're not actually into the composting itself, when people hear about it, then they feel guilty about throwing, the organic waste in the trash if they know it can go to a better purpose. Hello, Heaven's Gate Cherry Farm. How are you? You guys can hit me that thumbs up. There's 22 of you in here, only 13 thumbs up. I'd really, really appreciate it. And if I missed you coming in, I apologize. I'm in a chatty mood tonight, so I hope I don't bore you all to tears. My voice is going to be like nails on a chalkboard soon. Abby Gray, good day from South Australia. How are you? Thank you for stopping by, checking in. Do you raise worms? Let's see here. Greystone says, yeah, it's not nearly as gross as people think. Yeah, I think I thought it was really gross. When I started, I was extremely squeamish, extremely nervous about it. And the more and more time goes by, now I just realize that it's such a cool process. It's just like bringing in, you know, your little raised bed outside into your house. It just smells that earthy smell. Yeah, you may see an occasional pest here or there, but they don't really want to leave the bin, just like they wouldn't want to leave your garden where there's food and shelter and all the things that they need to survive. So that's what we need to really play up to people, is that it's a lot less creepy than they think. Plants and Passion, hello, welcome. Pizza Man says, I ordered 1 red wiggler and 1 European nightcrawler cocoon today from you. And Pizza Man, I want to thank you for that. I am going to have your name written all over the place. You are my official, like, first full order from my store, and I really, really appreciate that support. I'm really excited about it. It's been a lot of work. I mean, way, way, way more work than I would have ever anticipated, but we're dedicated to it. Kevin's really jumped in with me, and we actually set up another shelving unit today to make some more trays, so I'm excited. I started with a bin and in my gardens with leaves and food scraps, and my garden soil looks amazing. My garden, my raised bed, once I kind of cleared out some of the weeds and, you know, dead things that grew over the winter, and I just scrape my fingers down a little bit, and it is so dark and rich, healthy looking soil in that raised bed. I can't wait. I really think that this might be the year that I finally turn that corner and start doing better in my garden. Happy Lux, greetings from Luxembourg. Hello, welcome. Thanks for stopping by, giving me that thumbs up. I appreciate it. Robin, is there a way to calm my worms down after a rainstorm? My tote is outside. So Robin, that's interesting you ask, because my worms have been especially sensitive to the rain lately. We have had a typical April, April showers around here, lots and lots of rain. But especially now that I'm running a lot of really shallow breeding trays in large quantities in my basement, for some reason, those worms are even more apt to go trying to climb on me. And it's been a struggle, but I've figured out there's 2 things that work pretty well. Usually light works, putting a large light, next to the bin kind of drives the worms down. So that's always a good thing to do. But I found with my African night crawlers, they could care less whether there's light or not. They are going to climb. And I had a really rough time. I want to say it was a week ago when I was setting up some trays, and then it rained. And I ended up turning on just like a small floor fan, like that you would keep on your desk or something, not even a floor fan, a desk fan. And I just turned it directly at that bin. And the aeration and all, once they would start to come up and feel that it was dry, they started going back down. But it was a couple of hours where I was about to move them outside for a little while because I was nervous that they were all going to jump ship on me. Let's see. How long does it take to see cocoons in a bin? Says Kevin Neal. Hello, Kevin. Welcome. I hope you've given me a thumbs up. Cocoons can show up in with the worms that you purchase. If you get a pound of worms, from a company, there's likely a few cocoons that have made their way in there. That's very possible. But, worms each individual worm, depending on the species, can lay several cocoons a week per worm. So in theory, you would start seeing cocoons pretty quickly as long as you started with mature adult worms, or at least a combination of mostly mature worms. They can just be really difficult to spot sometimes. I am a little bit neurotic and I like to search for them, but they're not always easy to spot. But I will assure you, if you're seeing wisps and baby worms and the bin smells healthy, I'm sure they're reproducing, whether you're seeing them or not. Let's see. Happy Lux says 14 likes. Galen, I'm hoping to start an outside bin soon. I'm going to get an update on my outside bin here shortly as well. I topped it with some wet leaves the other day. Every time I go out to film, it ends up being rainy. Stock Queen, thank you. Abby Gray, Plants and Passions here. Hello, hello. Yes, Plants and Passion, I do sell worms on my website, and I'm also just now starting to sell cocoons. So all of those are over on my website. It's thecrazywormlady.com. I'm still new to this. Only got a worm cafe with a mix of reds, blues, tigers, and night crawlers. And how's it going, Abby? Greystone Garden says he used the light method too, but it's time-consuming and laborious. You mean if you're harvesting using light to drive the worms down? Yeah, I've never successfully done that. I don't have the patience for it. In theory, that should work as well. Worms will kind of shy away from the light, but I don't know if all the worms read the rule books because they don't always cooperate, or it just takes it will work, but it just takes a lot longer than we would hope. Melinda says, went to Green Thumb Festival last weekend. A lot of talk about composting and worm composting was also brought up. Gave several people your website and YouTube channel. Well, gosh, Melinda, that is so nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Danelle says, tornado warnings all day today here in Missouri. I've been biting my nails for fear my new ANCs will be all over my kitchen floor again. Oh, they've already done it once. All right, Danelle, here's a trick. If your worms are inside, especially the African night crawlers, and they're climbing on you, put the entire bin, if it's will fit, in your bathtub. I did have to do this also recently. My African night crawlers were the same main culprits recently. I put them in the bathtub in their bin, put the light on in the bathroom, put the ceiling fan on in the bathroom, and that little table fan down across the bin, and they settled down in about a half an hour. Your worms can just spend the night in the bathtub. Kevin, you're welcome. Cassandra, hello, welcome. Yeah, Melinda, I think it's difficult sometimes to put into words exactly what you're trying to describe when somebody asks what a worm bin is or how worm composting works. It's a lot easier if you can just show them a video. And, when I tell people that, I throw in a bunch of cardboard, I throw in worms and food, and then I harvest a few months later, they're like, well, then what do you do with the cardboard? And I'm like, well, the cardboard's gone because they compost it. And people can't even wrap their mind around the fact that worms can do that. And until they really see, what, like a series, for example, from start to finish, where I put everything in whole, and then at the end you see me pulling it out as finished compost, it can be a little bit difficult. Grant, it's another great point. Another way to harvest worms out of your castings, if you're trying to harvest a bin, is to do bait cups. So Grant did a great job with it. Lilia's had a lot of success with it. Both of them are in the description below, their channels. And I did my own little take on it as well. But using any sort of container, I think Grant used like styrofoam, like takeout cups from soda, and just poked a whole bunch of holes, fed only in that cup, then placed that down in his bin and kind of buried it up to the rim, and the worms all moved into the food. He was able to just take out and dump that bait cup out every week until most of the worms were out of there. Galen says, I have lids on bins with big holes drilled out that have been covered with screen. I don't know. That sounds like a good plan as far as with the screen and all, but the problem is those African night crawlers, even if it's not like a watertight seal, they're going to find a way to get up over the rims, especially if you have lids on. Plant Obsessed. Hello, Anne. How are you? Good evening. Thank you for stopping by. I sent you an email, Anne. I haven't heard from you. Danelle says, thanks for the fan idea. I tried the bathtub trick, thought it worked until the next day when a hidden rogue worm jumped out from behind the soap dish when I was showering. It was still alive? That's one resilient worm. I had one climbing across my basement carpet last week when I was struggling, and I got down there, and he almost made it clear across the other side of the house in the basement. I was able to scoop him up and put him back in the bin before he died. Linda says, hi, Emily. I also use the bait cup. It works fantastic. Hi, Linda. I missed you coming in here. Yeah, the bait cups work really well. Like I just used the bait method in my finished compost 50-gallon tote as a way to, kind of encourage any hatched cocoons, those worms and all to come into that. It wasn't a bait cup. It was more like a bait bowl, really. And then I took those worms and took them outside to my outside bin. Let's see. Plant Obsessed says, oh, look, it's been nuts at work. I hear you. It's been nuts at work for me, too. I understand. Lilia, I'm totally with you. If I would have known from day one that there was this tendency for the worms, especially the African night crawlers and European night crawlers, to be as flighty as they are, I think I would have had mine in a bag system as well. So Lilia is saying that the urban worm bag is excellent because it zips tight. The worms can't get out. And it's the same with the vermi bags. They can't make their way out, which is extremely beneficial, especially if you're in an environment where there's a lot of barometric pressure swings. I'm going to try the horizontal feeding for harvesting, but my bin is kind of small, so it might change to a bait cup. Yeah, if you're short on space there, the bait cup would be an excellent choice as well. Yeah, Danelle, you will love it. The urban worm bags, the vermi bags, they're absolutely fantastic. Oh, Melinda has hers in an urban worm bag as well. The African night crawlers, especially in Florida, I feel like they would be all over the place if you didn't have them contained like that. Grant says he had worms in his garden seedlings that he used castings to germinate. So there had to be some cocoons in there somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, you see that I'm struggling there. Yeah, HS. Okay. Well, I see that now. But I didn't before, and I didn't want to butcher it. I try to be respectful and get pronunciations correct as best as I can. Andrew Taylor, hello. You got an urban worm bag. Have you set it up yet? I think you're going to love it. So, guys, I want your input on something. There is a new community ecology farm and center being set up in one of the neighboring counties where I grew up. And I am toying with the notion and kind of back and forth talking to kind of the developer of this new farmstead that they're kind of building for education and kind of as a self-sustaining farm, trying to develop some sort of trench or windrow or wedge type outdoor system for their new ecology center. And I'd love to hear what you guys think as far as what you think would be best, because this is a very large property. And I want to do something that could be used as an educational aspect, but also for them to compost and then have compost for their plants. So any ideas, please throw them by me. Danelle says, on the urban worm bag, will the ANC and ENC stay near the top, or will they burrow and be harder to harvest from? Danelle, I find that worms in general, any of the composting worms, stay around where the food is. Even if they're not immediately on it, if you kind of feed heavily in the top few inches and you make sure you maintain that food level, that it doesn't run out, they don't typically tend to burrow back down too much. I mean, the night crawlers will probably a little bit more than the red wigglers, but still not bad at all. So I think it's a good option. Andrew says he just set it up yesterday. Waiting for the worms to come in. Sorry, I didn't. Oh, You don't have to be sorry about that, Andrew. I'm excited for you. Did you get red wigglers? What type of worms are we putting into the urban worm bag? I don't always advertise that I sell worms. It's just not my top priority. It's in my description of my videos, but I don't really talk about it a whole lot in the actual videos. So I don't assume that you guys, know, and I certainly don't feel that you need to feel obligated ever to buy from me. That's not at all what I am about. Oh, they're a great company, so you'll be just fine with them. And red wigglers are fantastic worms, and they'll do great in the urban worm bag for sure. I have most of my red wigglers are in my Vermibag Max and my urban worm bag. Let's see here. Did I miss anything here? This is my first bag. I'd have ordered from you because I found out about the urban worm bag from your channel. Well, I'm just happy you're getting started with it. So you will absolutely fall in love with it. It's just kind of a set it and forget it, really easy type thing to do. HS says, is there a problem if I have no idea what type of worms I have? I bought a bunch of them in a fishing shop and I have no clue. The only concern I would have is, were they in the refrigerated section? Do you know if any of them were Canadian night crawlers? Because Canadian night crawlers really don't reproduce in captivity, but red wigglers and big red worms, like those are a lot that are sold in like Walmarts and stuff. Those are composting worms, and those will reproduce great for you, and they're very good. Yeah, Canadians just don't reproduce at all when they're kept in a home. Derek, how are you? What time is it in France? I'm happy you're able to stop by. I know it is late. 2 a.m. What in the world are you doing up at 2 a.m.? That's dedication. I feel very special that you're stopping by at 2 a.m. to say hello. All right, Anne, I'll send you another email. It's fine. No big deal. What was I going to say? My mind just blanked out. So any questions while I try to figure it out, let me know. So Melinda, it's not a school. It's just going to be an ecology center. They really want to kind of grow and expand the organic, environmentally friendly kind of message. So they're going to have their own chickens. They're going to plant their own, vegetable gardens. They have a lot of plans, and they've bought the property, but they're only just now really starting to kind of delegate different tasks to different committees to try to make this a community-run center that serves educational purposes as well as for the health of the community. And I had a connection to the woman who's in charge of this project, and I've been going back and forth with her about setting up some sort of composting system. And I'm thinking about one of those trench or wedge or windrow, systems. I like the idea of something long, dug into the ground so that it could survive winters, where, you feed and you kind of move it down the line. So then the worms move down the line, and then you can take compost from this end, but it's, on a very large scale. This is going to be very long if it would be to serve the community that's going to be using it. HS says the worms that she got were, the worms I got were in the refrigerator, but if they don't reproduce, probably have died already because I have had them more than a year. Well, then, yeah, you're fine. If they haven't died, you're fine. That's a great idea too, Grant. If you can go to any of the Facebook groups, join the red worm composting group, the vermicomposting group, the experimental worm fun group. There's so many different groups devoted to different types of worms. There's like a worm identification group, I believe. So you could definitely get more information there if you're curious as to what types of worms you have. Yeah, Melinda, it's something that I really think would be awesome to give back to the community if I feel like I could execute it and be able to, teach people so that it can be kind of self-run, that I wouldn't have to go all the time. But I like the fact that would also, educate so many different people on worm composting, and maybe I could hold, a class once a month or twice a month or something where people could come and learn a little bit more, set up a worm bin, that type of thing. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just toying with the idea. And since I have already have this woman, and I've already been talking about it, I'm just continuing to brainstorm because I think it would be so awesome if I could come up with something that would be useful and educational and kind of continuing with that whole mindset that they want to develop this, based on the eco-friendly method and methodology. Galen says, I have tomato seedlings started. I pulled out of my bin, hoping I can keep them alive. I know nothing about growing plants. I've always thought about trying to pot plants that sprout in the bin. I've heard some people have had success with various plants. Depending how big the seedlings got before you planted them, they could end up being kind of leggy and not strong enough because of the lack of light when they germinated. But that does not mean that they wouldn't do well. So it's just something you'll have to see. I'll be interested to follow that if you can keep us posted. Oh, that's fine if you don't use Facebook. It was just a thought for us to see if you could share some of the different worms that you have. Melinda, would you have any issues with the ground freeze? Doubtful in something that large. We don't get like deep freezes. I mean, we get freezes, but not like in some areas of the world or even in the country where they get several foot deep freezes. We don't get that. And I feel 100% confident that in a large setup like that the worms would survive perfectly fine. Okay, Paige, hello, welcome. If you haven't clicked that thumbs up for me, I'd appreciate it. Oh my gosh, Marty, hello, how are you? You were able to take a break to come and say hello. You have been so busy with your own worm experiments and projects. I've been really enjoying seeing your worm composting grow. It's a lot of fun. I liked watching the experiment recently. It was with the wisps versus the tigers. I forget great names for the different groups too, and I feel bad now. I was rooting for the babies. I really was rooting for the baby. I was surprised that they didn't do the best. Let me see here. Marty, thanks, my friend. Having a cup of tea and watching in. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I'm doing my own little cocoon side business starting up now. I don't know if you've seen any of my recent activity on that. So I've been busy kind of playing around with bins on the side and haven't been quite as consistent with my videos on here. I've been doing my best to kind of keep everything going as I can, but gotta kind of put the priorities in order. And sometimes there's not time for everything, but I do my very best. So I appreciate that everybody's still here and hanging out. AJ's Green Topics. Hello, how are you? Welcome. I appreciate you stopping by. So yeah, I'm starting my first major cocoon harvest tomorrow. So that should be interesting. I'm expecting, hoping I'm expecting for at least 10,000 cocoons from the trays that I'll be harvesting tomorrow. So we will see if it lives up to expectations, but that's what it should be giving me, or darn close. So I'm very eager to get them harvested, get the cocoons counted, and shipped out to a bunch of you guys. I feel very official. I will show you guys sneak peek. I have cards that will come with the cocoons that I send you. I have my own business card now. I'm having like a surreal moment where like I feel very official now. It's a little scary. And any of you who are getting cocoons from me, they will come in these burlap bags, and they are completely compostable themselves. So I thought that was pretty cool too. I think I've sent one to Lilia before, and she turned it inside out like this to make sure she didn't miss any of the cocoons, and then kept it in the bin. Yeah, Galen, it is a lot of cocoons. You are right. Cecilia, hello everybody. Thank you for your videos. Well, thank you for watching and being a part of my community. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you find some value there. Anne's cracking me up over there, using her emojis. Marty, you're doing great. It's difficult to do everything on your own. Just keep on plugging away. That's exciting, a cocoon business. Yeah, we will see. Well, Derek, there's a methodology to counting and not having to literally count every single cocoon. You have to count, several measuring containers that you choose, whatever that may be. I don't care if it's a teaspoon, but you count several of them, average out your numbers, and then always underestimate by a little bit, and then scoop them out for your orders based on your estimated number. It's not a perfect science, but you always want to underestimate so that you overproduce for the customer at the end of the day. Thanks, Melinda. Yeah, I used these burlap bags multiple times in the past for various things. I think they sell these like just for like crafty stuff, and like people will put like favors in them, party favors, stuff like that. But I was able to find a completely organic brand that has it's not treated at all, and it will be completely compostable, which I like that part about it. I missed something. What did Grant say to Anne? Oh, the microscope videos. Yes, those microscope videos. I'm like sitting there just watching. I'm like, you can see inside. And I have one of those. I need to set it up. It is awesome. Yeah, definitely keep doing them, Anne, for sure. HS says, I'm feeling stressed to think about cocoon harvesting. You don't have to harvest your cocoons. You can let them go straight on into your garden, into your seedlings. Perfectly fine. The only reason I'm doing it, I mean, I've done it by choice just because I want to count cocoons, but the only reason I'm doing it now is because I've decided to make it a business. But it's not something that you have to do by any means. You're welcome, Galen. Yeah, Galen, it's I could always go by grams if I average out the grams per however many. That's another good idea, actually. I like that. Cassandra, thank you for coming back. Sorry your phone died. Bisme Gaming, Cocoon Caviar? I don't think so. Let's see. Greystone Gardens, yes. AV's time-lapse videos are insane. Insane. His subscriber numbers and his views on his videos are in like the tens of thousands, if not probably 100,000 more on some of them. His time-lapse pumpkin video with his red wigglers blew me away. He does an incredible job. He's very meticulous and detailed, and he sets it up. It's just so seamless, the time-lapse. It's beautiful. I love his time-lapse. Anne says, the cocoons are tougher than you think. I was afraid at first I would break them. Yes. Yeah, I guess because they're like a cylindrical shape, we should know that the cylindrical shapes tend to actually be able to handle a lot of pressure, but because they are so small and they are slightly soft if you press on them, you can have that fear of squishing them, but I've never been one to be ultra dainty with the worms or the cocoons. I know that they're fine. But yeah, it's the cocoon counting and cocoon harvesting and all of that can be daunting, but you never have to feel like you're obligated to count your cocoons and to save every last one, because that will drive you crazy. And you get to a certain point where you realize that they're going to be reproducing, you're going to be getting offspring no matter what. So it's okay if a few make it out to your garden. It's fine. Bisme Gaming says, what a great feeling when you see that first cocoon. I know, right? When you spot those first cocoons in a bin, it is like Christmas morning. Greystone says, I thought they were swollen sesame seeds. It's kind of a pretty good definition of what they look like, depending on their coloration. Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by, AJ's Green Topics. He said, I would like to say thank you for your videos. Congratulations on the growth of your channel. Take care. I appreciate it very, very much. I've been very blessed. My community, if I didn't have them, I would not be where I am right now. That's for sure. There's plenty of people on here who've been composting longer than I have. So it's a very loving, sharing community. We're very supportive of one another. And so I couldn't be more blessed to have you guys. That's for sure. You guys will, excuse me, you guys probably will notice that in some of my videos in the last week or so, and probably for the next few weeks, I'm going to be adding a few extra ads, which is something that has been a hot topic for a while, about the whole monetization and putting ads in your videos. But I will tell you, I don't plan to do this long term. I honestly plan to use the extra ads as a little bit of money to offset the startup price of setting up all the cocoon bins. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. I'm not looking to bombard you with ads, but every time an ad pops up, it does help me get a little bit of revenue, which is helpful when you're kind of starting up something fresh and it's all out of your own pocket. Marty, can we get you on a live show in the future, Emily, to talk about your new cocoon startup? I would love to let my community know, for my USA viewers. Marty, I would love that. Like, I would absolutely love that. So please reach out. My emails should be in the description below, and we can set that up. I would be honored. Melinda says, okay, so when will you finally get t-shirts? Just make sure you have some that are plus size. Oh, you're funny. You are funny. I've been tempted to get my own t-shirt just made for myself. But who wants to wear a t-shirt that has the crazy worm lady written on it somewhere? I don't know. I mean, I would, but I'm an oddball. We know that. Grant says, some of us aren't lucky to find ANC cocoons all the time. Well, Grant, run yourself an ANC cocoon only bin, breeder bin with nothing but cocoons. You can't help but spot them. Richard Evans, hello from Wales. Well, welcome, Richard. Thanks for stopping by, giving me that thumbs up. Cassandra saying she would wear the shirt. You guys are making me feel good about myself. Thank you for that. Maybe in the future, if the channel continues to grow, maybe if we hit, how about this? If we hit 3,000 subscribers, whenever that may be, I will get some sort of merchandise, be it a t-shirt, a coffee mug, something. Does it help if we watch the whole ad versus part of the ad? But seriously, I want a t-shirt. If you're watching ads to help with the ad revenue of any channel that you're watching the whole ad is more helpful than if you hit the skip button. But regardless, when it pops on, it still does something. But yes, on one of Grant's videos the other day, before his video, I got an ad, and it was a relatively lengthy one, and I sat there and I said, I know he would do it for me. And so I listened to the whole thing. All right, you guys got to stop with these t-shirts. You're too funny. And yeah, Lilia can do the worm drawings. We could make some pretty cool t-shirts. It doesn't even have to be Crazy Worm Lady. We could just make some sort of worm t-shirts that could be shared across different sites and stuff. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. But for me, at least not until 3,000. Grant says, if you hit 3K, more like when? Well, I have grown very, very fast in the last few months, and I don't expect it to continue to go up exponentially. I really just want subscribers that find value in what I have to offer. So if that 3,000 doesn't happen for 3 years, I don't care. I just like reaching people and people that I'm really helping. That's what I enjoy the most, bringing some entertainment, some education. That's what I like. So I'm not kind of held up on the number getting anywhere in any rush. I wanted to hit that 1,000, then I hit the 1,000, and now I'm like, this is pretty cool. There's no need to rush anything. Marty's Garden says you need to watch the first 30 seconds of the ad for the revenue to be passed on. I didn't realize that, Marty. Thank you for telling me that. Oh, Decine Garden Stuff, hello, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. I saw you dropped a video last night, I think. I have not had a chance to see it, but I will certainly be doing that shortly here. Lilia says, the only drawing I'm qualified to do is a smiley face. Where did you get your little worm, like, drawings, though, that you use in your reproduction games videos? Because those are so cute. I love them. Plant obsessed, worm people. Yeah, we got a lot of worm people around here. I love it. Greystone Gardens. I could design a logo and shirt for you. I'm a former tattoo artist. I've got the best people ever around here. That would be amazing, Greystone Gardens. That would be really, really cool. If you're serious, send me an email. My email is in the description below. The Wyatt Life, hello, welcome. We build a compost bin out of free pallets the other day, and I've been throwing worms that wash up on the driveway into the pile. That's great. Especially when you have outdoor bins. Any of the worms that you find in your yard will do perfectly fine, and worms will find their way into it if it's outdoors. That's a fantastic way to start a bin, actually, if you're planning on keeping it outside. Derek says global worming. Oh, there's another one. There's that could be a good little catchphrase. I like that, Derek. Kill deer survival. I'm getting tongue-tied. Kill deer survival. Hello, Emily. Well, hello, welcome. How are you doing tonight? Thank you for stopping by. You've been checking a lot of my videos out lately. I really appreciate that very much. Plant Obsessed says worm tattoos. That would have to be some sort of like getaway where all of us crazy worm nuts get together and go out and get tattoos of something worm or compost related that are all somehow matching, so that, you know, we can all be crazy and matching like that. I don't have a tattoo, and I honestly feel like if I was going to get a tattoo at this point in my life, it would either be nursing related or worm related. Is there something wrong with me with that? I don't know. I love Lilia's drawing, says Linda Bush. I would wear a t-shirt. I'm a little bit crazy too. Aren't we all? I just think some people are better at hiding it than others. HS, where is the global worming people from? Anyone from Spain like me? I don't know if there's anybody from Spain in here. I know, sounds like we have some Australians in here tonight, some people from the UK. We have Derek from France. So we do have people from all over, but primarily the US and Canada are most of my subscribers. Melinda says she got those. Lilia said to Melinda that she got those worm pictures off the computer. She just Googled funny worm pictures. Oh, I like that. I didn't know that. 4D Construction Solutions. Hello, Brad. How are you? Welcome. The Wyatt Life says, I've done worm bins inside on and off for a couple of years, and your channel has been very helpful. Well, thank you. I got on here just to have fun with you guys, and all you've done is inflated my ego and improved my mood. I need to be paying you guys for therapy. You're like free therapy. I would get Grant says, I would get a worm-related tattoo if it was a good design. Yeah, I totally would too. If it was a good design, if it didn't feel like it was just like some sort of quirky, like, I don't think I'd want a cartoony worm tattoo. I'd want something that somehow is integrated with compost or plants or recycling, eco-friendly. There has to be a way to come up with that. Kildare says, that's why we call you the crazy worm lady. I know. I'm okay with that. I think my dad, honestly, it's growing on him. And my dad, several times over the last couple of years, has said, are you sure you don't want to change your name from the crazy worm lady? And I said, people recognize that. And I think he thought that there was a bit of a connotation to calling myself crazy. And I said, people are going to come and learn who I am, and they can decide whether or not they think I'm like actually crazy or just, passionate. And I said, but people like the name. They're, it is catchy, for people to catch my YouTube, name. So my dad the other day said, I guess we've committed to the crazy worm lady, huh? When I got my business card. So I laughed because I showed it to him. Kildare says he's learned a lot here. Thank you. Yeah, Melinda, I think those little pictures she finds are really adorable too. From Indiana, from Chile. Cecilia, do you speak English, or is it difficult for you because it's kind of, you speak broken English? I have horrific Spanish. I wouldn't even try. I would embarrass myself. And that's difficult too. They need to have more options or some way to figure out how to do like closed captioning in different languages so that more people could be reached by our videos. Plant Obsessed says, I like the yin yang of a worm and a fern. That's a cool idea. Then if I want to get really crazy, I could somehow do the yin yang with like a stethoscope as part of it and a worm as the other part, and that would include my nursing and my worm hobby and career. I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. I would wear it. I have a plant lady shirt and a crazy chicken lady shirt. I like that. Crazy chicken lady. HS. Yeah, mostly I know about vermicomposting is from English content. That's a shame. There needs to be more, like, I don't know, an easier way. If there was a way for me to add some sort of, subtitles, I just don't have somebody who speaks another language that could offer them. But there are so many other people from other countries that could benefit. But I've found channels before. What is the channel? Derek might know. He's I believe he's French. And he has a great channel, and he's very descriptive and very good in editing his videos that you can pretty much figure it out without English. But I would love to truly hear all of the knowledge that he has to share in his videos. But unfortunately, the languages just don't cross over, and they don't just offer those closed captioning. Let's see here. Kildare, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just read it and it sounded kind of dirty, so I'm just going to skip on past that. C Squared says, what are some other types of grit? Does coffee count as grit? C Squared, welcome. I hope you've dropped me a thumbs up. I appreciate you being here. So grit sources, like the most common ones that most of us use, are crushed oyster shell, crushed eggshell, and sand. I primarily use crushed oyster shell and eggshell, but I do supplement occasionally with sand, especially in my sand versus eggshell bins. Some people also will use the diatomaceous earth, which is in my dry mix, as well as like garden lime, if that's ground up, that can also be used not only as a pH buffer, but as a grit source as well. Plant Obsessed says, how does the translation work? I've enabled the translation for my channel, but I don't know how it happens. And I don't even know how to do that. We need to figure this out. We need to put our heads together and figure that out, because that would be awesome if we could do that. Lilia says, well, the pharmacy sign has 2 snakes around a pole. You can get 2 worms around a pole. That's true. Yeah, like the little like healthcare symbol. It's exactly what it looks like. Great worm herder Wayne is in the house. I didn't even see Wayne come in. What did I miss? Oh, hello, Wayne. How are you? Good evening. Derek Frost says, I'm English, but I speak 4 languages, but I don't know about automatic translation. Also, if you ever used like translation services for anything really, you find that most of the time it's kind of right, but sometimes really important things get messed up in the translation, which can totally ruin what you were trying to say. Killdeer says, he clarified what I thought was really dirty from before. Good to know. Okay, well, stay dry out of that rain. 4D Construction Solution says, Wayne grinds eggshells very well. Yeah, I use a spice grinder, and it works. It works really well for me. There's plenty of different methods on how you could grind stuff up, but a coffee grinder, a spice grinder work fine. Just whatever you have available, whatever works best for you. Whiskey Woman, what up, worm? Stopping in to show some love. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you stopping by. How are you tonight? Yeah, Wayne's talking about the translations not being so fantastic online, that's for sure. Greystone, thank you so much for stopping by. Good night. You take care. Derek says there are some Lombricultura videos on YouTube. Is it? I know I'm saying this. I'm not saying this anywhere remotely close to what it is. Is it like Lombrica Facile? Is that the channel that I'm thinking of? I think that might be the name of the channel, but I'm not spelling it or saying it the way it's spelled, I don't think. If you know what that channel is, will you let me know? Because I'd like to link it below, because there are some really cool videos, even though they're in French. Plant Obsessed said, I watched a bonsai video on Indian channels. I can read English, listen to Hindi. Whew. I don't know. How do you keep track of all that? .40 Construction Solution says, don't use a pole because it's going to look bad, especially when you have worms going at the. I need to keep this PG. If the worms are wrapped around the pole. Patty, how are you? Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I want to say last time you came in, there had been some sort of family emergency. I hope everything is okay. Wayne, some of your videos lately, you've really got it going on. You've kind of rebounded those bins. I was happy to see that. Belinda says, my grandson loves to grind up the eggshells in the coffee grinder. Marty's Garden says, thanks, Emily. I have to get back to work now. I sent an email regarding possibly a live show. Lots of love from Australia to you and all the community here. Thank you so much, Marty. I appreciate it, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Cassandra says, oh, yeah, I've found some Indian videos that are so cool and couldn't understand a word, but it was really cool to see what they were doing. Yeah, and you do see things like that, but that's like that missing link is if you could know what they were saying too, would be really awesome. Yeah, 40 Construction Solutions, are you new to my channel? Because I don't know if I've seen you comment much before. I'm a longtime Marty's Garden subscriber. I love Marty. So I don't know if you found me through Marty or how you found me. I don't know if you've even said, do you compost with worms? Am I forgetting something already? So I wanted to give away 1,000 cocoons in kind of celebration of the Cocoon project being completely underway now. So I'm going to leave it up for a week. And in this next week, if you would like to be entered, and I'll have all the details below, I just ask that you comment when this comes back on replay. So once this video is back on replay, any comments below, just saying hello, saying whatever, just doesn't have to be anything specific. Leave me a comment below, and I will enter you in, and we will do a drawing next live stream. So I'm thinking I'll probably start live streaming every other week. So in 2 weeks, I'll draw on my live stream, and the cocoons, whoever wins those cocoons, they will be mailed out that week. Excuse me. 4D Construction Solutions says brand new on the Worm Farming Alliance. What is your first name so I can figure out who you are? I'm happy to see you here. Thank you. Killdeer Survival says, wow, that would be awesome. Patty says, may I ask a garden question? I have a keyhole garden with a compost cylinder in the center. You can ask any question you want. Is this to me or to Marty's garden? Because I think Marty's garden may have left, and he's more of the gardening guy than I am. I put worms in there when it gets warm enough. Killdeer Survival, you will not have to be in the live stream to win. Just like I said, just pop back to this video anytime you want. It usually goes live, within 15 minutes after I end the stream. So in the next week, make sure you make it back to this video. And in the replay comments, just leave me a comment. Leave me, hey, Emily, enjoyed the stream. How are you? I'm here for cocoons. I don't care what you say. And I will put all the names into a generator, and I'll send you out 1,000 cocoons of the worm species of your choosing. And that will be announced my next live stream, which I'm thinking is going to be two Tuesdays from now. I don't have a calendar in front of me. Actually, that's a lie. I do. Let me see. That would be I can't believe it's already the end of April. So the 14th. It would be May 14th is when I will announce that winner, and I will send out those cocoons that week. So that's a Tuesday, so they'd be mailed out on Wednesday or Thursday of that week. One problem with computer translations, this is Wayne talking, said phonetics, another syntax, pronunciation, sentence structure. Oh, and of course, Wayne, you have to remember all the slang terms that don't cross over from one language to another as well. 4D Construction Solution says, I need to change the name. Oh, it's Brad. Okay, Brad, I gotcha. I'm not sure. I think you have to go into like your settings to change your like channel name, which is whatever your name is on YouTube to begin with. Somebody has fire ants. Now the fire ants have taken that compost bin over. Will they kill the worms? They could. It's possible, Patty. Is there any way you can submerge, like, what type of bin is it? Because if you can put the feet of the bin or just sit the bin in water, ants are gonna have much more difficulty getting up into the bin if they have to cross water to get there. Ants can cross water, but not in high numbers. And if you treated diatomaceous earth like inside the bin, around the bin, around whatever water container you have them in, that might be the best line of defense that I could think of. Patty, you're fine. I'm happy that you have some stuff to share. Oh, look who's back. I can never say your name. I've already been tongue-tied tonight. Rural Rules. Do you breed night crawlers and the red wigglers? Also, do you know what the river worms are? The secret is a musky smell when fondled, and they are really tough. We just call them river worms. I breed African night crawlers, European night crawlers, and red wigglers. I also do have blue worms in my house, but I'm not breeding them currently. And I'm not sure what river worms are. I don't know where you're from. There's a lot of night crawler-ish looking worms down south, like the Alabama jumpers, but I don't know anything about odor or anything like that. So I couldn't speak to that. If you had pictures, maybe we could get an ID, but I'm not sure. You're welcome, Patty. I don't know if that's going to be helpful, but it's worth a shot. Plant obsessed. Rule. I know I can't do it. Last time I had trouble with it too. I don't know what to tell you. Patty, you can use neem. That's true as well. Neem cake and neem oil are excellent pest management options. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as well. Kansas, yeah. I'm not even going to try to say it. I'm just going to call you RR because I can't handle that. It could be an Alabama jumper, but I would have to see, like, if you're on Facebook, there's a worm identification group. They might be able to, or even any of the other worm groups on there, the vermicomposting, the red worm composting, might be able to get you an ID. Oh my gosh, Derek, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Good night. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let's see. HS says, I put a mix of apple vinegar and sugar in a bottle with little tiny holes in the sides and the top closed so they can get in but can't get out to fight the insects, flies, and ants. You can also make traps with like borax. I mean, that's an option, but when it's outside, you're going to get so many that I don't even know that it would work. I had a little problem with mice stealing my worms. Any cure? Get a cat, set some mouse traps. But seriously, what types of bins are they in? That's something that the mice are getting in to get them. Like, is there a way you could put something that's more sealed across the top? Like, even if it was just like a mesh screen that could be somehow connected snugly to the surface of your bin so they couldn't get in. Pizza Man, C squared, oyster shell works great also. I don't know what I missed. Oh, egg allergy. I totally missed this. Egg allergy in the house, so we don't get a lot of shells around here. Not sure if I should risk grinding up. So would like other sources. Thanks for the info. Yeah, sand works really well. Oyster shell works great. Garden lime, diatomaceous earth is completely safe. Again, of course, it's not an eggshell, so I don't know if that would be an issue. But look and see what's safe for you and your family, and you can find something. Looking here. CRT says, yeah, the top has to be more secure. That's what I'm thinking. If mice are getting in to get the worms, there has to be a way to fit something snugly across. I think if I know who this is Brad. Yeah, send some pictures because, Brad, if you're doing like you're doing like a breeder setup, correct? Like a breeder bin setup similar to mine, because I use landscape fabric sometimes to cover my bins. And actually, Wayne's done something pretty cool where you can kind of like bungee cord the screen or landscape fabric or whatever tightly across the surface, so it's much more difficult for any pests to make their way in. But I'd love to see it. I can't say that I'm any sort of expert on the matter, but I would certainly try to give any sort of advice that I could. I like the idea though of a cabinet with mesh. That's a really good idea. Yeah, so you're using like those mortar trays, and that's the issue with the mortar trays is they're great for breeding worms because they're super shallow, but they're also completely open to the elements. I mean, I have thin sheets of bubble wrap over mine, but nothing that's good that would keep out mice if we had them. And as far as I know, we don't have mice, but I'm sure this will be a good opportunity for me to discover if we do. But so far, I haven't had any issues with any sort of worms dying, so that's definitely good. Cecilia, it was when adding some kind of powder to the worms. All right, I'm trying to see. Oh, Cecilia, the word was grit, not grid. So grit, I just typed it into the chat. Grit just basically means like something fibrous that helps pulverize or break down the food in the worm's gut. So like humans, we need something like the leafy greens, things that are high in fiber. Think of it almost like a fiber source that worms have to properly digest their food. That's what that means. Melinda, not to get off the subject, but have you heard from Catherine from my hillside garden? I have. In fact, Catherine and I speak regularly. She's my neighbor to the north. She is doing just fine. I think she'll be back to it soon. But I think she's got lots of crazy stuff going on at home and with her gardens and all that good stuff. But yes, she is fine. I still haven't heard from Davo, though. Anybody hear from Davo? I sent him another email, Grant. You heard nothing from him? Cassandra, I know. I miss her as well. I told her, I said she had won that urban worm bag from me a while back, and I was about ready to start getting on her about it. But I know this is a time where she really does a lot of planting, and her niche is definitely more garden related. So I need to be kind and not put too much pressure on her. Let her do her gardening thing. She can have all winter to play with the urban worm bag if she wants. Any suggestions for when I do my first casting harvest on my urban worm bag and my vermibag mammoth this week? Suggestions how? I mean, for me, I'm actually gonna do some harvesting tonight of my vermibag mini, but honestly, I just drop a bunch of the compost from the bottom, just like they recommend, up until I start seeing worms, and I dump them into mortar trays, mix it up a little bit for some aeration if it needs it. If it's already nice and flaky, then even better. Then a light sifting, then into my storage container, but it doesn't even need to be sifted if there's not any major unprocessed bedding pieces. But I mean, Grant, you've been running your systems great, so I don't foresee anything that wouldn't be typical like first harvest things that you have with the initial like 2 or 3 harvests. They say in those continuous flow through systems are okay, but they're definitely not like at peak performance. So they might not be perfect, but I definitely think you'll do just fine. Grant says he hasn't heard from Davo. Well, we'll keep reaching out. Oh, Wing, you're right. See, all these words that and the English language is so complex with similar words or the same words that have different meanings. So Cecilia, I apologize that there's some things that get lost, but always feel free to ask if there's something that needs to be clarified in a video. I appreciate you watching, and I certainly will do my best to clarify so that you can fully understand and learn what you're looking to learn. Whitney Lee, hello, welcome. She says, hi, everyone. I'm new to the worming world. I want to thank everyone that puts out videos. I have learned so much. Well, we're happy to have you, Whitney. I'm speaking for everyone. In my description below, I've listed a whole bunch of channels that have all sorts of worm content. Lilia Kogan is in here. She does worm videos. Grant McIntosh does worm videos. Plant Obsessed, she's in here. She does worm videos. Dekine Garden stuff. There's tons. They're all listed in the description below. So if you want to find some more channels, go at it, because there's a lot of really excellent people in here. So I think they'll be great resources for you. She says she got ENC and they seemed a bit skinny and sluggish. I got them from Uncle Jim's and had them for a few weeks. Should I be worried? Whitney, the Uncle Jim's company is known for, how do I put this nicely? Not always sending what you order, or sending you orders that are lighter than you anticipate they're supposed to be. So if they're alive, I wouldn't worry too much yet, but I would definitely keep an eye on it. And if you have a forum or somewhere where you can share some pictures so that people can positively identify them and make sure that they are European night crawlers, as opposed to maybe just they sent you red worms, you know, you might want to try to get a refund from them if they sent you something wrong. But I wouldn't worry just yet. Make sure that there's good aeration. Don't overfeed. Sluggish isn't necessarily a bad thing. ENCs are definitely kind of slower moving until they're provoked, but they're slower moving. They're not ultra feisty. So I wouldn't worry too much just yet, but keep an eye on it. Whitney says, thanks. The boyfriend wasn't too happy when I came home with 2 bags of worms. Yeah, it took a long time for the worms to grow on some of my relatives and my boyfriend and all. So don't worry about that. Well, thanks, Brad, for stopping by. I appreciate you subscribing. Reach out anytime. I'd be happy to help. There were a few reds with the night crawlers. So, you know, keep an eye on it. And if they continue to look unhealthy, you can always just add a whole lot of bedding. Make sure it's plenty moist and just add a lot of bedding, very small amount of food, and just leave them for like a week or 2 and see if they'll rebound on their own. Because sometimes I don't think we ever really do harm by checking in on our worms too frequently. But I do think that sometimes at least a little bit of a break, like a week or 2, just not peeking in at all, letting them do their thing, will kind of reveal to us if there's actually a problem or if they're still just getting established, because it's still a new system, new worms to you. And they take a little while. You know, they've gone through the mail, so there's a lot to that. Falling Petals, hello. Welcome. She says, hi, I'm new and have a question. How many European night crawlers would you recommend starting with the urban worm bag? You can start with as little as, 500 worms or a pound of worms. Usually worms are sold by the pound, and a pound of European night crawlers is probably roughly 500 or 600 worms. But I'd say a pound or 2, and they will reproduce to fill the space. There's no need to buy an excessive amount at the beginning, because they will reproduce for you. HS, it might be a stupid question, but can 2 different types of worms reproduce with each other, or are they different species? So, like, I have several bins of mixed breeds. So I have a bin with red wigglers and European night crawlers, and I have one with blue worms and European night crawlers. The worms can't crossbreed. I think, I'm not positive on this, that worms can try to breed with each other and even still lay cocoons, but they're just not viable. They'll never hatch. But so if you have a bin with 2 separate species, the only worms you're going to get are going to be those 2 species. They won't it's not like you have 2 different dogs breed and you end up with a mixed breed dog. It's not going to be like that. But not a stupid question at all. It's a good question. Whitney says, thanks. I just recently stopped them from jailbreaking. Yeah, it's a process when they're settling in. Make sure there's plenty of pH buffer, all of that good stuff. So lots of crushed eggshell or garden lime, diatomaceous earth, something like that. Yes, that's a good point, Anne. You're right. Worms can coexist but can't hybridize. Exactly. HS, I hear you. It does suck. I'd love to create the ultimate worm breed too. If you could do the perfect mix of like a worm that is a really good composter, not super flighty, gets to a good size, migrates well. We could go on and create the perfect worm. But unfortunately, I don't work in a lab with a test tube, and I don't think that's possible. Excuse me. Whitney says I picked up your dry mix. I hope you find it useful. It's a good combination of things. Of course, none of it is 100% necessary, but for me, it's worked really well for a combination of different things. So I just, don't fix it if it's not broke, or however that expression goes. Well, guys, I don't know. Time is flying tonight. I still have 27 of you in here. So I'll answer a few more questions, and I might head off for the evening. I've got quite a bit more work with the cocoons to do tonight. Anne says, I'm experimenting with pushing ENC to the larger size. Not sure if it will work. Melinda says she loves my dry mix. What do you mean by that, Anne? Are you talking about your experiment trying to breed the bigger worms together to see if their offspring are bigger worms? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm not sure I 100% understand. Or are you just trying to grow them to large size in a large space bin type thing? I just want to make sure I understand. Okay. So yeah, you're trying to breed the largest worms you can find in your batch to see if you get larger worms. I actually really like that idea because a lot of my European night crawlers are going to be going for the Titans. Exactly. I couldn't think of the name. I couldn't think. A lot of my Euros are going to be going for bait, for fishing, for family, and if in fact that works, I'm going to have to be picking myself out large Euros because all the fishermen want the biggest European night crawlers that I can provide. Trying to exploit genetic plasticity. I like it. Have you ever found the super stumpy European night crawlers? They're fully mature. I have 3 of them that I've spotted because recently I've been doing a lot of worm counting for the breeder trays. And they're usually European night crawlers like this or so, but they're like this. And it's head, clitellum, tail. It's nothing to it. And I guess I've seen them in the past, but usually they at least have some length to them. These things just look so dumb and short and stupid. Anne saying she loves them stubby. To me, they just look short and stupid. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I've looked at them a few times and I was like, did they break in half? Is that a whole worm? I was so confused. I was thinking it had gotten injured in some way, and nope, it was just some sort of horizontally, yeah, I guess vertically if you stood them up, challenged worms. That is so funny. Yeah, I want your Titans to work because I want that whole concept to work so I can get the biggest Euros for the fishermen. Glad to know short and stupid is loved somewhere. Oh, Wayne. Oh, gonna make. Oh, that just struck me a lot funnier than it probably was. Hey, you know what? There's a person for everybody, and apparently there's a worm for everybody too, because Anne has a love for her short, stumpy Euros. Anne says, I put in the castings experiment, I put one in, one of the stumpy ones, and it never got taller. Yeah, I don't know. I have found in my breeder trays that the worms get really, really large. And I don't know if it's because I feed them a lot more starchy, grainy type foods, or if it's just because they have a lot of space. But I need to snap some pictures. I don't want to give away all my secrets. But I'd love to snap some pictures and show you guys the size of the European night crawlers next to my 15-gallon tote full of European night crawlers, because there's no comparison. Although I selectively kept out the stumpy ones because I thought there was something wrong with them, Anne. P Tudor checked my bin tonight, and I have a newborn worm. It took long enough. Had my bin 6 weeks. Thanks for your help last week. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear that you're doing well and you have some babies. I hope you're subscribed to a lot of people in here, because there's a ton of great worm channels that are still hanging out with me. An hour and 30 minutes later, they're still listening to my voice. So what are we getting a scale for, Anne? I have a scale. I don't know who you're talking to. Now, are you wanting me to weigh my worms? Because that could be interesting. I never even thought about it. Cassandra's egging on. Do it. Worm babies are the best. Marty's garden can't stay away. Thanks for coming back. I'm wrapping up in a few minutes here, but I'm happy to have you. I'm trying to understand why Anne wants me to buy a scale, because she knows, or she should know, that I'm dead broke right now trying to get these cocoons up and running. That's why I'm going to torment you guys with maybe 2 ads per video. Planet says, yes, I did. Belfast Worm Farm did, and they were double. The European night crawlers that you weighed were double? Yeah, Grant, I mean, I've weighed like an order of worms. So like I've weighed a pound of worms or 3/4 of a pound of worms, but I've never just taken one worm and weighed it. So now I might have something else to do. I'm gonna go pick out short and stumpy European night crawlers, pick some out of my regular bins, out of my breeder bins, and see what the weight difference is. Belfast worms were 9 grams for €1. You kidding me? That's insane. Yeah, Grant, I haven't either. Now I'm kind of intrigued though to pick some of these really big guys out that I have downstairs and see how large they really are. Marty, what time is it in Australia? Decline Garden Stuff says, uh-oh, now we're going to have to start tagging worms so they can be weighed before and after. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have to find some way to humanely brand the worms so we know which ones are the ones we're tracking weights on. Plant Obsessed says she has to go back and watch. Her biggest was 5. HS says, I'm going to go now. It's 3 a.m. over here. Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something. I appreciated you contributing to the chat. Yeah, Wayne, I know. But if we weigh the tag before we weigh the worm with the tag, it could totally happen. Marty, you did not have to do that. Thank you so much. That's very kind. Now I'm going to have to go show up on Marty's channel and talk to some of his viewers soon. I'm excited about that idea, because I think we have a lot of really cool crossover and different specialties. Marty's definitely more of a garden guy, and I'm just more of a worm compost girl. So that might be fun. Marty says it's 11:05 a.m. here, Sydney time. So wait, is it 11 o'clock on Wednesday? So you're into tomorrow, or yeah, I'm thinking, or is it 11 o'clock on Tuesday? I'm not good with that. Plant Obsessed says worm tattoos. We got to do the worm tattoos. I'm telling you. The Kind Garden, we have to do them, and then we'll have our worms get matching branded tattoos so that we can track their weights. Kind says, I think Belfast worms are so big and fat because they fed them cake recently. Well, do they use a dry, like a chow? Because that would definitely affect, I think, the weight, because that definitely fattens the worms up. Also, a bin that's run wetter, the worm's more hydrated, it's going to be heavier too. So we have to take that into account as well. Grant says he's in the future. Okay, so it is Wednesday for Marty, 11 o'clock. Okay, got it. I thought that was the case, but I don't know. The time zones always confuse the crap out of me. But I guess I'm kind of in my own time zone since I do night shift, and it's 9:07 p.m. here. But in my mind, it's morning. Like, this is when I start my day. Thank you so much again, Marty. I really appreciate it, and I hope everybody is subscribed to Marty. I am very grateful for that. Thank you. Melinda, that's an excellent idea. Marty, I don't know if you hear from my part of the conversation. Maybe we can talk about it more through email or something like that. But I kind of sticking my foot in and offering some help for a new ecology center setting up in my hometown about 30 minutes away, and thinking about trying to develop a composting system for them. And we don't get hard freezes, but we definitely get cold weather in the winter. So I'm thinking like a windrow or trench or wedge type system might work. So I'd love to have your input on that at some point. It's the pug with the guy. Wait, it's like the pug with the guy shirt and the guy with the pug shirt, but tattoos. Exactly. I love it. Yeah, Cassandra, Marty's channel is awesome. His energy, I could never match that type of energy. I mean, I feel like an energetic person, but I don't think it always comes across. A lot of people tell me that I don't use this word on my channel, but I have the resting you-know-what face, and that I kind of lack emotion. And I don't feel like I lack emotion, but apparently it doesn't always come through that I'm passionate about something or that I'm really excited about something. But Marty's just like, I feel like Marty is fueled by like an inner coffee that just keeps him going. You help a ton of people too, Marty. It's great. The gardening, the whole eco-friendly, environmental movement community is doing some incredible things. We're kind of in this at a really great time where we can reach a lot of people and help them. Wayne says, yeah, night shift is a different world with or without time zones. Yeah, actually, I've been able to travel abroad several times, and when everybody else in my family is struggling, not abroad once, but like to Hawaii and stuff, still like 8-hour time difference. And then like Italy was, I don't even know what the time difference was. And everybody else was struggling with jet lag, and I'm over there like ready to go because my body doesn't know the difference between night and day. It doesn't matter where I am. Excuse me. Marty's Garden says, I'd be happy to help you with the compost. Sounds like a great plan. The secret is coffee grounds, as it's free. And Marty, that's what I like too, is because the community that I'll be doing this in, which is like my neighboring county, but the county where I was born, they just started green compost bins. I didn't even know they had started that, food waste compost bins for pickup with garbage. So you'll have your recycling, your compost, and then your trash. And that would be an excellent way for the ecology center to then educate people how they could use their green bins if they want to, but how they could also compost it themselves and kind of be able to show it at this community center. It's going to be run by the community for the community. So that's why I'm really excited about being able to help. Yes, Anne, I'm an RBF sister. Absolutely. Well, Marty, you can say you're out of control, but you absolutely are captivating with your energy. I wish I had some. So send some over this way so that people think that I'm passionate too. I am. It doesn't always come through. Sometimes I watch my videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, I sound bored, and I'm not bored at all. Yeah, my worms are fed a lot of coffee grounds too, and I think my worms are more productive than I am sometimes. Apparently, I don't drink enough coffee. But I think this is one of my longest live streams ever, guys, 1 hour and 40 minutes. So I am going to get ready and wrap it up. I've got some cocoon counting to get done, and I want to answer some of these emails that I've gotten from people, and I've got a lot to do. But most of the stuff I have on the horizon right now is all worm related. So there's a lot coming. There's a new series that will be coming out in the next, probably 5 or 6 days. It's going to be worm bin basics, and it's going to be focused on starting bins with cocoons. So I'm excited to bring that to you guys as well. So thank you all so much for coming. I'm sorry, Nick, we are just getting ready to wrap it up, but I appreciate you so much stopping by and saying hello. Have a blessed night as well, Marty. Good night, everyone, and I will talk to you real soon.